You're listening to a podcast from the Abbey Theatre's Oral History Project. For more information about the archive, visit abbeytheatre.ie. Tomás MacAnna worked at the Abbey Theatre as a director and designer from 1947 and was artistic director and artistic advisor on 2 occasions. In this podcast, former General Manager Martin Fahy, playwright Thomas Kilroy, and actors Kathleen Barrington and Tom Hickey recount their memories of Tomás MacAnna.
When I joined the Abbey as an accountant, Tomás MacAnna was the artistic director. He was a dominant person within the theatre at that stage, both physically and in the way he operated his responsibility. He also got great respect from the people that worked within the Abbey, not alone in the Abbey, but in the broader world of theatre. He had a great personality, and he was also a very good organiser and a person who believed in getting things done. It was actually Tomás I heard using the phrase, and I actually think he created it, "There will be no problem." That was what he generally said when people started, "Oh, we can't do this, we can't do that." Tomás would say, "There's no problem, do it this way, do it that way." When I was appointed General Manager, he had 3 months left on that particular contract. He achieved an awful lot with the Abbey. He joined in 1947, coincidentally the year I was born. He was a person that broadened the repertoire of the Abbey. He had served, he had been some years at the Berlin Ensemble, so the work of Brecht. He was very familiar with it and he loved it, and he actually brought and introduced Brecht to the Dublin audience. He had a great success with Borstal Boy and with Terry Flynn. In Borstal Boy, Niall Toibin played the older being, while Frank Grimes played the younger being. It transferred to Broadway and actually won a Tony Award. Terry Flynn, Donald McCann created the role with Maura O'Donnell as the mother. So I just three months, but during the period from when I joined, I was very raw on the theatre world. It was Tomás and the manager that engaged me, John Slemon, that mentored me, and Tomás explained the mechanics of putting a play on stage and how all that went, and that stood me in great stead then when I was appointed manager.
I eventually heard, it was a time when the Abbey was changing quite a bit. It was moving into the new building and moving away from the Queen's, so there was that going on. The other very, very important thing that was happening at the time was Tomás MacAnna had arrived into the theatre, and he hasn't been given nearly as enough credit because he actually was a radical presence in the Abbey at this time. And he wrote to me a very kind letter saying that the managing director had turned down Mr. Roach, but what he said was the theatre is not ready for it as yet, you know, words to that effect, and that was very encouraging for me.
Tomás's use of people, he used to say, his first thing was always, how did it look? Because he designed it. How did it look? And he also wanted actors that he could trust. And he nearly left it to you to get on with the business of doing it. But he could do some extraordinary work, and very often it was the design that sparked off the magic of the work. And he was a great lover of Brecht because he had actually been to Eastern Germany and he had worked there, and they had a high regard for him there. So he loved the notion of Brecht and he actually did Brecht later on in the Peacock. I mean, the plebeians rehearsed the uprising. If we talk about that and design, he opened the back door of the where all the scenery used to go into the Peacock, the backstage, and he had supposedly the tanks coming down with big lights. And I remember Martin Dempsey coming down, saying these were the attacking troops coming down. He had a wonderful imagination. A designer, director. And he loved people and he loved actors. Not only had I a huge respect for him, but a great affection for him. And I would say anybody that worked with Tomás over a number of years would have had the same feeling that I had.
It wasn't an Abbey show, you see. It was the first time I played in the Peacock. And Tomás MacAnna I met, and he was delighted because of our connection in the past. He called me over one day, he says, I hear you're doing lunch times now. He said, are you doing tea time shows as well? And he started to laugh. And then he says to me, he says, I expect on the basis of this play you will be in here very soon, he says. Do you know what your only problem is then, he says, is how to get out of here.
Thank you for listening to this podcast from the Abbey Theatre's Oral History Project. For more information about the archive, visit abbeytheatre.ie.